everybody, and welcome to Rise Tribe podcast. We have the incredible, empowering Tracy Hamilton with us today. And as you can see, she has Rise and Shine with Tracy, which she will share a little bit about. So my experience with Tracy, I met Tracy through a mutual friend, and Tracy really helped me through some really troubling times. And I introduced her to one of my other friends, and we did some work together, didn't we, Tracy? So, and just really inspired by Tracy's journey. It really is a journey of healing, of empowerment, and just really excited for our audience to hear from Tracy and just know that all the power is within, and it is just tapping into your source, and that is really all you need. And sometimes you just need somebody to facilitate that, and that's where Tracy comes in. So we have the amazing Sam, as always. Sam, do you want to say hello?
I do. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 4. I just want to have a little talk about Tracy as well. Tracy, did I get introduced to you from Kirsty? Is that how we met? I think yes. Yeah,
it was.
So I've also spent some amazing time with Tracy, and we've had coaching together, and she's just an amazing facilitator of healing. And I just want to, one thing I always remember about the coaching that I had with Tracy is one particular, I think it was a group call, and we did a meditation, and I'm quite visual, and it was really deep, and it has stuck with me ever since, and has been a really pivotal part of my healing is when my emotional clouds were born out of my body, and I now have these little cloud people that are of different emotions that I speak to on different days, and there's a whole visual that went with it, and it was just so magical. And when I tell my cloud story to people, they're just like, wow, what a meditation. So I just wanted to mention that, like, yeah, it just always makes me smile, and it and still is super helpful. So thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. Hey, it's such an honor to be here and, come and share and see what emerges out of today's conversation. I always love that,
Absolutely. We were talking about where should we go with this, and it was just there like, oh, let's just go where this flows, because that's what we're all about. And Tracy,
that's how energy works, right? Energy is always going to speak through us, and that's the magic of life when we trust in the way that love wants to flow through us today. So I'm really excited. I never used to be like that. I used to be full of insecurity. Oh man, I wouldn't have been able to show up without having a script. Oh my God, what am I going to say? Oh my God, what's everybody going to think about me? Oh my God, all of that would go on inside of me, whereas now it's just like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
So Tracy, just take us back to that backstory, because knowing Tracy, she's got a really interesting backstory, and it's almost like, how you have transformed into who you are today has been a work in progress, hasn't it? It's not just being that quantum leap. So do you want to just share a little bit about that, Tracy?
Yeah, I would have loved it to have been a spontaneous awakening. We all would have loved to have been an Eckhart Tolle, and had that spontaneous awakening. But no, sadly, it wasn't like that for me. It was been a process and a process of release. So oh God, how far back should we go? Right, okay, so always grew up really quite shy and timid, but always spoke to spirit. I'd have conversations with people in my bedroom, and then I'd go down and say, oh, I've just been talking to so-and-so, and then my parents would be able to lie that they're dead. Well, they were pretty alive to me in my room. So no one really understood that, so I never got, brought up with that.
Can I just interject there? What did your parents say to you when you were talking, like, okay, they're dead? Did they think that was a bit odd, a bit strange, or was it?
Yeah, it was just
a Tracy
off.
thing?
They're dead. Don't be silly. You couldn't be talking like that. Don't be silly. You can't be talking to them because they're dead. And it's like, they were in my room. They were in my room. I sat and had a conversation with my grandma. Or my grandpa showed up. It was like, that's how clear it was for me. But then over the years, I shut that down. I just stopped, because that felt really odd and alien, and nobody else was ever talking about it. So that side of me just got shut down. You know, and then I grew up, but I was really quite introverted, really quite shy and timid, and felt a lot of insecurity in myself. And then as I grew up, went to school, you know, like we all do, came out with 0 qualifications because I didn't fit into the education system. I didn't learn that way. So I've really discovered about myself, which I'll talk about in a bit, you know, and I didn't learn that way. So I came out with extremely low grades, and it was like, right, well, what am I going to do now? So then I went off to be a nanny for a little while, and that didn't work out. And then I ended up working a chicken factory for a while. That didn't work out either. Then I ended up walking through town with my mum one day, and there was a stand talking about hairdressing. So I went up to them, and next thing is I enroll, and off I go on my hairdressing journey. And I did really well doing that. Then from there, I ended up working for someone, and didn't really enjoy that too much. And then ended up opening my own salon up.
Wow.
And that did really well. And I can remember one day sitting there, right, and I was painting. I can remember to this day, sat on the floor painting the skirting boards. It's like, oh, I think we're going to do, like, this wasn't done so much in my day, you know, because this is a few years ago. And it was rent a chair. And I was like, I kept getting to see that, oh, hey, how about we give everybody a percentage of what they earn on their chair rather than paying people, so that let's see how that goes. And people told me I was crazy, silly, that's never going to work. Well, it did. And the business took off, and we were thriving. In fact, we didn't have any more seats left, so we couldn't take in any more staff. And you used to have to book 6 weeks in advance to get an appointment.
Wow.
And we shared the revenue. And the revenue was shared between everybody. So everybody loved being there because we were all in this together. So we didn't need to do advertising or marketing or anything like that, because everybody would just be talking about it because they were passionate, because it was in their best interest to. So that took off, and that was really great. And then ended up getting married and having 2 children. And then I found out that I was pregnant again with my 3rd baby, and my son was only 8 weeks old. And at the time, my partner didn't want any more children. So and then I was left with that ultimate decision to, you know, keep my family together or to terminate. And I ended up terminating the baby. And in that process of terminating the baby, I went into so much shame and guilt that it had a grip on me. And never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that that's what I would get to experience. So roll on a couple of years, then we ended up getting divorced. I ended up being a solo mom, bringing up my kids alone anyway. And in that process of doing that, you know, as a provider for everything, you know, it was tough going. Also running, then I opened a second salon. I sort of actually had let go of the first salon when I'd had my second, when I'd had Matt. And then after that, I decided to open another salon. So we got that salon open. And so I was working full time in my salon, and then coming home and having to bring up 2 kids by myself. And it was super challenging. Yeah, I did it. You know, now when I look back, I think, my God, how on earth did I do that? How did I run a business, bring up my 2 kids, and run a home, and do all those things? Anyway, so then one day I was sat in my lounge, and I saw an advert for New Zealand on the telly. And I just went, I really want to go there. And I was actually dating a guy at the time, and he had traveled Australia and New Zealand a lot. So I was like, I really, really feel drawn to go to New Zealand. And he went, well, how about, do you think your parents will have the kids? And we go for a tour around New Zealand together. So that happened. And it just happened in a flash. Did not know how on earth I was ever going to afford to go. But anyway, the money always shows up. Right, so the money shows up, and off I went. My parents had the kids. And when we got to New Zealand, we were chatting away, and I said I'd seen this vision of this waterfall on the beach near each other, and I just felt like really drawn to go there. So we were chatting to some friends. They introduced us to a Kiwi couple, and I explained what I'd seen in this vision. And so he went, oh, that sounds like down Taronga way. You ought to go down there. He said, I love it down there. There's a waterfall up the Kaimais, and then there's the beach down at Mount Maunganui. So anyway, off we poodle, and we're going down there. The sat-nav switches off. Just stops working. So anyway, we went, right, okay, we find ourselves in this traffic queue, going over this bridge, having no idea where we were really going. But as we went over the bridge, I just went, well, let's turn left and see if we can turn around somewhere. As we turned left, we hit all these palm trees. And we're like, oh, wow, look at this, all these beautiful palm trees everywhere. So we're driving down. I said, I feel like we should turn left. So we turn left and we drive around the corner. We're driving along this harbour. It was beautiful. And we saw this mount coming out of the sea.
Mm.
And as we come around the corner, I went, stop the car, I need to get out. So we stop the car, I get out, I put my feet on the beach, and I see myself walking down this beach. This beach was miles long, it was beautiful. And I just went, oh, I can see myself and the kids here. So I feel like we've got to come here. Anyway, with that, we come back out, jump back in the car, and we travel down the beach a little bit further, and then I see a for rent sign on this apartment. So we go to the reception, and he went, oh, well, actually, this is a long-term let. This is not a short-term let. And went, oh, we only want it for a weekend or maybe a week. She went, you know what, go on, let me just call the owners. So she did, and the next thing is we're staying in this beachfront apartment.
Of course you are.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
And from there, then the next day we get up and we're walking down the street and we go into this estate agent. And we're chatting away inside of the estate agent, just finding out some information about houses, what's the property like down there, what's the area like. And then she asked me what I did. And I went, well, by trade, I'm a hairdresser. She went, wow, really? She said, well, Kenny, who used to work here, his wife, Pam, is from Scotland, and she's got a salon just down the road. And she's always looking for staff. Why don't you go down and see her? So off we poodle down to this salon, and I walk in, I explain to her who I am, and there's a possibility that we could be coming to New Zealand. So she said, could you come and do a half a day for me? I was like, I brought no equipment with me, got no scissors, nothing. She went, no, it's okay, you can use our equipment, but could you just come so I can see what your work's like? So I was sure. Then we end up staying for a bit longer. I end up going in, working in there for half a day, and she said, right, I'll help you get your visa.
Oh, wow.
If you want to come, I will sponsor you if that's
And
what you need.
this is from the sat nav switching off.
Yeah. This is just purely from the sat nav switching off, right?
Oh, I love life.
So anyway, we leave there and off I go, and I'm going, wow, this is amazing. Like, just in awe of what was happening. We jump back in the car and we go back up to see our friends. And while we're there, we go to this barbecue, and then the guy that I was with, his name's Ant, we were there together, and he was chatting to this guy at the barbecue, and this guy says, oh, what do you do? And he said, oh, I'm a painter. He said, wow, that's interesting. He said, I just happen to be the CEO of a painting and decorating company.
Make it up, could you?
Right. And he said, we're about to open a branch down in Papamoa, and Papamoa was 6K away from where we were staying in that apartment.
Wow.
So he went, you know what, if you come back to New Zealand, I'll make sure there's a job for you.
That's incredible.
So anyway, we carry on and we tour around New Zealand, and the next thing is we come home, and anyway, 18 months later, a few challenges along the way, because, you know, my ex-husband wasn't too excited about, you know, us going to New Zealand. But anyway, he let us go in the end. And so off we poodle. And, you know, it was like 18 months of trial and error, I can tell you that much, trying to get over there. But anyway, rented my house out here in England, and off we went. And I went to work for Pam, and went to work for the guys in the painting company.
That's so cool.
Yeah, just amazing. And then from there, so then we find ourselves in New Zealand, you know, fresh new start for everything. Yeah, actually, even though my mind would say it's a fresh new start. You know what? All my past come with me, right?
Everywhere you go, there you are.
Everywhere you go, there you are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So same shit, different country.
Sam knows that well, don't
you?
Yeah, same shit, different country.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, Sam, but you know, being in a new country, making new friends, childhood trauma coming up, you know, making friends at school that felt like that. Oh my gosh, don't know anyone. Oh my gosh, it was bringing up everything.
And you hadn't done any sort of healing or any sort of personal development at this point, had you?
None,
so
nothing
you were literally just it was Tracy.
No awareness like that, no real idea about healing, just knew, like I said to you, about this. Everyone called it my spooky side. Everyone always calls me woo-woo Auntie Trace, you know. It was just always just a fleeting comment rather than anything that I really took real notice of, apart from, little did I know, I was trusting my instincts would go into New Zealand, but I didn't know that at the time, right?
I mean, you were just having synchronicity after synchronicity thrown at you.
I didn't know it was synchronicity. We can talk about it as synchronicity now, but at
but at that time it's just,
it was synchronicity. I was pissed off that the sat nav turned off. Oh my god, damn thing. Why aren't you working? We're going to get lost now and all this sort of stuff. So no idea at that time.
Can I just ask you a question?
About it as synchronicity.
Yeah, it's just what age were you when you felt that you switched that side of you off? Because you were talking about that we were communicating with people. Where do you think that kind of stopped?
Oh, I was real young, hun. I was like, I would say that switched off by the time I was about 7.
That's kind of like the normal age, actually, isn't it, for this?
And then I think we become consciously, you know, our
absolutely
starting then, you know. So it's like I was recognizing that other people weren't doing that.
And you had no one in your life that was that way, like an auntie or someone in your sphere that kind of tapped into that. So therefore, I think it really does shut down if you've got no one that you can talk to with that.
Yeah.
So when did you go to New Zealand? What year was it?
2009.
Okay, and how long were you there for?
6 years.
Oh wow, I love New Zealand. My
mum was 6 years. Yeah, amazing.
This is beautiful.
Absolutely stunning. But here's more synchronicity, right? I'm now hairdressing, and then, you know, my back was really getting quite bad anyway from hairdressing, and now I know my body was trying to tell me it was time to actually quit that and do something else, but same thing, didn't know my body was even speaking to me. I was so much in my head at that time. I went to meet up with a friend who had got a medium doing an event. And I got to meet him in the daytime. And he said to me, oh, you have 3 children. And I think my face would have told the story. And I was like, oh my God, how do you know I've got 3 kids? Because nobody knew.
Bless you.
Right? Nobody knew about that. So it was like, oh, how do you know? Well, this was a bit, you know, unnerving that this guy knows. And he went, but 2 are on the earth plane with you and 1 is in spirit, and she's actually a guide for you. And he took me to the shadow of the window, and he said, like, so he put his foot in so you could see his foot, and he said, she's telling me to tell you that she only needed to dip her toe in to get a sense of being here on the earth plane, but she knew she wasn't coming.
Wow. How did you respond to that, Tracy?
Oh, well, I was just like shocked, didn't know whether to believe it, was battling with lots of religious beliefs too, and all that side of things, and just going, oh, no, I don't believe that. You know, I didn't believe that at the time. Now I know. You know, now I feel her presence, and you know, he said she stands with you, she's with you always, you know, and she wanted to be one of your guides in life. So it's amazing now because I commune with her in a totally different way.
That's beautiful.
So that was that was that. Then I went to that event. So I went to his event, and we'd also been talking about marketing and things like that. I was gotten into a little bit of social media at the time. So he and I had talked about how he could market himself and get his name out there more. And so anyway, at this event, he got me to stand up in front of everybody, dying inside. Oh my God, how embarrassing. You know, literally nervous system.
Trigger everywhere.
Oh my God. Woo, oh my God, everyone's looking at me. To him introducing me and talked about the experience we'd had together. And in the audience was a guy called Roger. So Roger came up to me afterwards and said, I've got this guy coming over to New Zealand that I'd really like you to meet, and maybe you could help guide us and talk to us about our marketing. And in walks Tom Stone into my life. And that's where everything changed. So he ended up coming to my house. I stood there, I did this presentation for them. And he said, that was a brilliant presentation, thank you. How would you like to do that without all that nervous energy inside of you? I went, how do you?
Yeah, please.
He was saying, then he was telling me about how he can hear by the frequency, the tone of your voice, how your nervous system is. So anyway, with that, I ended up going with him and having a session with him, and he showed me how to actually come in and feel every uncomfortable sensation in my body. And that's where I started to get to really know about energy. And emotion is just energy in motion. And I started to see that actually when you sit with the energy that's in motion and you are patient enough, the energy dissipates.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting, isn't it? Because that just feels, you know, for people that are just hearing this for the first time, that's so counterintuitive, because that energy, that feeling is so uncomfortable. The majority of people, you know, like I was the same. I just wanted to numb from it and just go, you know, just get away from it and not have to face it.
Yeah, because you go fight, flight, freeze, fawn. You know, so you want to, and you'll do any distraction technique that you've got: eat, drink, smoke, sex, shop, you know, do anything to get away, because we're deeply conditioned to move away from pain. Not go to the pain, but actually when you go to the pain, and like you say, you sit in the presence of the pain and you actually feel where the sensation is in your body, it will dissipate. And once it dissipates, you're now shifting the frequency of your energy.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And
so Tracy, Tracy, this is the first time I heard this through you, Tracy. And I remember I was in a bucket of tears, and Tracy just talked me through the process of just sitting. And do you want to talk people through that process, Tracy, just so people get an idea of how simple it is? It's not easy, but how simple that process is.
Well, let's go to the quiet space. Let's go to the quiet space first. Okay, so if you just close your eyes, I don't recommend this if you're driving, by the way. Let's be safe. No,
make sure you're in a safe place.
Yeah, exactly. So just close your eyes. So first of all, connecting with a chair or whatever you're sitting on. And then connecting with earth. And know that you are safe and you are fully supported in this moment. Allow yourself to notice my voice. Allow yourself to notice any surrounding sounds. Allow yourself to notice the temperature of the room. Then allow yourself to notice thoughts coming and going in your mind, like clouds in the sky. And just allowing those thoughts to come and go like clouds in the sky on a partially cloudy day. If you look off to the side of the thoughts, just like looking off to the side of the clouds, you'll notice the quietness, just like noticing the blue sky. And just allow yourself to just keep noticing the blue sky or the quietness. What you'll notice is the thoughts, just like the clouds, are occurring in the background, as is my voice. It's just there in the background. And just notice how the quietness feels. You may notice it's peaceful, expansive. Sam, how does it feel to you?
Grounded, actually. It's really nice.
Beautiful. Kirsty, how does it feel to you?
Incredibly calm, peaceful.
Beautiful. That's the true essential nature of who we are. And sometimes that gets disrupted by thoughts. It's disrupted by an emotion, or just gets disrupted by a sensation in the body. But ultimately, with that quiet, expansive groundedness.
So that's really our center, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And anything, someone says something, someone cuts you off, takes you off your center. And I suppose the magic is how quickly you can get back
back to the quietness.
That center.
So then we have 3 awareness centers. Okay. So fast forward the journey a little bit more. So I learned that off Tom. Then I spent 6 months with a Native American. And so we were doing sweat lodge and NLP, talking circle and all of that sort of thing, which was amazing. And then I got the nudge to come back to England. And so then one more step to that. Then I got invited by Tom to come back to England and to do a talk to everybody that was at his event. And so I did, and I came back, and that's where I met Tim. I met Tim at that event, and Tim happens to be my business partner now. And so I met Tim, and Tim and I started to, just connect on Facebook after I went back to New Zealand again. And so he and I stayed friends. And then when I came back to England, I reconnected with Tim. And then what we'd discovered is we would both really stripped it down to its most basic simplicity. And not put too much wood to it, and started to really recognize how self-empowering it was to actually come to the quietness. And anyway, I know you guys know Tim, and Tim's like really deeply investigative. So he wanted to know how it was working in our brain, what part of our brain would, and so he went off investigating all that side of things. And so then I started to study too with human design. I started to really get into human design and understanding our energetic blueprint and how there were different energy types. and how those energy type, how we work as an energy type, how we're outputting energy and how we're taking in energy. So how we get input energy from other people and how we're outputting energy to those people. So I started to really get into that, really discover Gene Keys too, and went exploring down that side. But what I started to notice was that the 3 awareness centers kept popping up. And one, there is our mental awareness. You know, we're all, you know, we're gonna have to go into the mindset world, right? And it's like, that's all about the way you're thinking, stories, meanings, beliefs. Yeah. Right, that's your mental awareness. But what I really discovered through human design is this is just our observer. It's not a decision maker. We should never, we're not here to make decisions from up here on the mental plane. We're actually meant to be coming down into the body and listening to the body's response, how the body feels, right? But all too often we're up here in our head and making decisions from our head. And then, so it then comes down to our emotional awareness and becoming aware of when we're reacting. You know, when you come out of alignment, when you feel that disruption, you know, when each energy type experiences it slightly differently. And so a manifestor will experience it as anger. Manifesting generators and generators experience it as frustration, and a manifesting generator has that add-on of anger. A projector experiences bitterness, and a reflector experiences it as disappointment. And so I just started to see how all of these tools were coming together, and I'm what they call a 3-5 profile. So 3-5 profile, everything in my life was only ever going to be about experience. I was not going to learn in a school system. I was not going to learn out of books. I can use books to spark interest and see what's inspiring to me. But still, I was going to learn about myself through my life experiences and remember who I am, or who, you know, who we are is through those experiences. That was where the remembering was going to come in. And so I can see how my life has played itself out. And now I can see how through my experiences I help other people, especially through shame and guilt. What were the 2 things I said I deeply experienced terminating a baby was shame and guilt. Well, that really affected my profile. So when I started to really work with going in and releasing shame, and shame is not always comfortable. You know, when you're releasing shame out of the body, oh, hey, it can feel hot and intense, and it feels like you're purging, well, you're transmuting energy. And so it's like, as energy's leaving your body, it's like, oof, you can feel so overwhelmed with that. And then guilt too, really experiencing how guilt felt in my body. And so there came in the emotional awareness of this reactive or repressing, where we're holding ourselves back. When we've gone into, let's take it to the next, you know, what we were talking about, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, you know, where we go into fawning and freezing is our repressory self. And when we go into fight and flight, that's our reactory self. But we're actually reacting to our wound. You know, and there are 6 core wounds. And when I started to really study these 6 core wounds, the first wound is insecurity. Well, have you ever felt insecure?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just a few times.
Right. Then comes denial. Right. So denial meaning there's a lack in our awareness. You know, and we're in denial because we didn't know how to listen to the feedback in our body.
Yeah.
So when you start being able to listen to the feedback in your body, you're no longer in denial. And those sensations, the reactory, the repressory, when you actually go sit with them and feel them, it will naturally raise your awareness. Clarity will come after after you process the reaction. And when you dive deep into the repressive natures. So when you're no longer fearing the fear that you feel. So I created an acronym for fear. And that was feel energy and rise in love.
Beautiful.
So no longer did I fear fear. So fear comes up in our body. It's like, ooh, hey, there's some insecurity. I don't need to deny myself of this feeling. I just need to go to the feeling, take myself to a quiet space first, then come back down, scan my body. Where is that fear? Where is that insecurity? Where is whatever it is in my body? And then feel it until it dissipated and you're back out into that quiet expansiveness again. So then we've got shame. Shame is a wound, you know, and then we've got rejection. How many of us feel rejected? We're actually rejecting how we actually feel. And then we've got guilt, and then we've got disconnection. We can all feel like separate, alone, disconnected in the world while we're having this individual experience, but we're all connected energetically, spiritually, we're all connected. You know, but we're having this individualization. So we feel this disconnect when we come out of the womb. So I started to really go, oh, this is all really fascinating. But how's that playing out in me? How are these wounds playing out in me? How are these wounds played out in my experiences? And, you know, I used to not be able to sit here and look back at the past, because if I look back at the past, oh my God, I'm going to feel loads of stuff if I look back at the past. Now I can look back at the past and go, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, thank you. I really appreciate that version of myself. I really appreciate all of those aspects of me that have been before. And I was very much a person that was always living in the future. One day everything will be better. One day. Always looking so far into the future rather than being here now. How do I feel now? In this moment, you know, good old Eckhart teaches us the power of now. It's like, right, what's happening now? Not in the future, but knowing that, because I've seen this now from evidence, is the more that I processed everything inside of me, the so I can see how life has changed. But life wasn't changing if I was too afraid to go to those feelings. Life was playing and repeating the same patterns. And then I started to become more aware of patterns, and then I started to see how patterns were playing out. And that's all because of the things that I've been involved with. Like really, I love Richard Rudd's explanation of the gene keys and, you know, what he's done in his life. Amazing. And then with human design too, and then linking it all together.
Yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? Linking all this stuff together, because we've all done like a lot of deep work, and we definitely have to feel it, and we all find different ways of doing it. But then for me, it just feels like often there's so much, and where do you start? But then we go through it ourselves and we piece it together for ourselves.
Yeah.
And then out of that comes something that feels like it has worked, and we're forever learning, right? There's never a moment when there's not going to be a new thing coming through. But I just really love, Tracy, how you've really got this kind of simplified, because I think for a lot of people it's just really overwhelming, the amount of tools and stuff and different approaches, and this feels like it's really solid and it has some kind of system to it, which is lovely.
And that's the beauty of it now, is bringing it from its complexity into its most simplicity. And if there's anything that's going to change your life, it's not complexity, it's simplicity. So when you can keep coming back to the present moment of really being and able to check in with yourself, am I in alignment with peace? Or am I somewhere disrupted in my system? Am I overthinking? Oh my gosh, I used to be overthinking. And then I got to discover too, through my gene keys and human design, is that, you know, my battle for me to overcome in this lifetime was between oppression, which is negative thinking, and feelings. So the more that I started to become aware of actually what's driving me to think negatively, was all of this energy that was in motion in my body.
Yeah.
And when I started to sit with the emotion and really feel the sensation of that in my body and allowed that to dissipate, I noticed how my thoughts would change, or I'd notice what I would focus on would change, just like thoughts being like clouds in the sky. You know, when there's a lot of energy in motion, I'd be focused on the dark clouds, the negative.
Yeah.
But when my energy was back in peace, I'd notice I go with the flow, and you know, I'm trusting life, and life is unfolding beautifully and naturally. You know, it's just fear that gets in the way. And so it's like I just started to see that in my own experience playing itself out.
All of the previous go on, Kirst, you go.
No, I was just saying, because, and it's thanks to what you've gone through that you can now be in this place to help other people, because you've done the work on yourself. You've done that deep exploratory investigation of yourself, and having walked through it, it's just a matter of turning around and taking someone's hand to say, I've got you, I know where you've been, I felt exactly the same, let me guide you in this real simple format. And and essentially it's coming back to stillness, isn't it? It's coming back to
that still
with
point.
yourself.
Yeah, the still point, and actually not being afraid of the void when nothing's happening, when nothing appears to be happening in life. You know, everything is happening.
Yeah.
You know, and K55 shows us, right? K55 is all about victimization. Right, so and we're transforming this inside of us as a collective right now. We're actually coming into a really new energy, which is 2027. And so it's like we're right in this we've been in this 7-year transmutational period. And, you know, our incarnation cross, our collective incarnation cross is changing. You know, we've been carrying that incarnation cross for 400 years. You know, so it's like we're really transforming into this new energy, and where it's all about coming back to self. It's coming back to spirit inside of yourself, and it's like really trusting and honing in on your own instinctual guidance. So, you know, for example, if you're a generator, it's really listening to your that's correct for me, or that's not correct for me. That doesn't mean to say that someone else is correct for them. They have to listen to their own inner guidance. And so it's really exciting to be alive. Like, it's so exciting to be here, you know, at this time where we're shifting our awareness, our consciousness, you know, becoming so much more aware of, wow, actually we've been deeply caught up in a lot of fear, and now we're actually shifting. Love's really leading the way, you know.
Tracy, do you feel that people trusting themselves is a real hurdle? Because, you know, everything external to us is how do I put it, you know, is taking us away from ourselves and seeing the answers outside of ourselves. But then when, you know, it's like, trust your instincts. I was talking to the kids about this the other day and trying to explain to them, you know, like, you get a feeling in your body, and if it feels good, that's, you know, then that's a path to start taking. If it doesn't feel so good, maybe just hold back a bit. But that's, I mean, I'm still learning to trust myself and my, you know, inner guidance. So, I mean, what would you say to somebody that's just there, like, but how do you start to trust that feeling?
Well, that's where it always comes back to the how, right? So it's, how do we do this? So the way to do it is come in and listen. You have to come in and listen inside your body. You've got to drop down. So remember, we were talking about the 3 awareness centers. One, you've got to drop off the mental plane. But you've got to run through all the feelings. And of course, it's everybody's deeply conditioned to move away from them. That's painful. I need to move away. Oh, that's uncomfortable. That's tight in my stomach. That's making my heart race. That's clamping up in my throat, wherever it is. I can't breathe properly, so I'm going to panic. So it's like when you actually allow yourself to gently come to it, and there is a way of navigating, and that's what we've mastered, is navigating your way through. And there is a navigation way.
Yeah.
To come
in. I just want to ask you a question. So I'm just love. So they've got the human design, which is the personality types.
Yeah.
Is that right? And then you've got gene keys, which is then to the individual in terms of what their keys are. So you're not only, you've got really an amazing couple of tools there to treat people as an individual, because that's the other thing I find, is that there's these blanket, this is what you do and you're going to get to this. It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't. So think of it this way. This is how I like to describe it. Human design is your vehicle, right? Inside of it is made up of astrology, I Ching, Kabbalah, and your chakra system. So it's where you're at, like I say, so you get to know where your energy is outputting and inputting, right?
Yeah, awesome.
The gene keys is think of the I Ching side of things. They've got a roadmap, but it's more about your specific path to your awakening.
Yeah.
So there is a way that you can unlock yourself, and that is by not being afraid of the shadows.
Yeah.
But if you're afraid of the shadows, if you're afraid to turn inwards, that means you're afraid of meeting your shadows, then you actually hold yourself back from accessing the gift. But I think Tim and I always say the gift is in the shit, right? So if you're too afraid to go into the shit, you're not going to access your gift. So it's like, but the shadows will unlock the gift.
Yes.
And that's the beauty about them.
It's so I've just got
one's
goosebumps.
like a roadmap and the other's the vehicle.
That's such a good way of putting it. Thank you. It's really,
that is
really great. I'm just going to step back a moment just to the complexities that we were talking about and how simplifying everything is the key, but we kind of need to travel through the complexities to get to the simplicity, right? So just for people that are feeling like it's all too much, just trust yourself and keep going, and you'll find your path and you'll find the right people to help you. And then the other question is there a different way for each type of person to access their feelings in a safe way? Do you find some people access them differently to others, or do you feel you found something that kind of works for all in terms of sitting with that shadow, darkness, fear, all of that pain?
Process is so simple, right? It works. There's no one it doesn't work for. I haven't come across people it doesn't work for. It will work. When it doesn't work is when you're resistant.
Yes.
Resist going into feel, then that's where it's not working. So it's only when we resist. There is a difference in the fact that whether you're a defined emotional being or an undefined emotional being, but that's more about your decision making. Look, we all have a nervous system.
Yeah.
Right. Every human's got a nervous system. How we process that nervous system is what we've really nailed.
Amazing.
Right. So it's how to process your nervous system.
Yeah.
As for being emotionally defined or undefined, you're either the wave of emotion and you are the actual wave if you're a defined emotional being, and there is a certain way that you wave. So it's really, that's where it's key to know whether you're a wave person and how you experience your wave. So you're always in life going to have moods where you're either up in your wave, or you can be riding that wave up, then crash, and then go like, oh, hell in a basket, why? And then the mind wants to go, why am I feeling like this now? Right? Well, the wave's just crashed.
Yeah.
Right? It will, and as the moment it crashes, it's already starting to rise back up again. But we don't like that. I don't want to feel all that feeling. I want to feel this high feeling because this is great. That's shitty, and I don't like that. But there's a gift down there.
I know, right?
But if you're too afraid to go down there, you're never going to unlock the gift. So allow yourself to go. I can sit here and just suddenly feel melancholy. And it's like, why am I feeling melancholy? I have 7 melancholic keys in my design. So I am going to have moments of feeling melancholy, and I just want to sit here and bawl. And no reason why. Just the energy is moving.
Yeah. Isn't that lovely though, if you are a wave person and you know that you've got 7 melancholy in this particular thing, you can go, that's okay, that's going to happen, so I can just allow that. Whereas if you don't have the awareness of it, it's just crazy.
There's something wrong with you.
Yeah, that's so cool.
What's wrong with me? There's something wrong with me. Oh my God, now my mind's going, right, okay, let me go and look. What's the evidence as to why that I'm feeling sad? Right, okay, well, I'm feeling sad because this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. And the mind is brilliant at making up stories.
And then judging yourself for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, it's because of this, it's because I did that when I was 10. It's because this happened here, that happened there. And it's like, no, they're just in a moment of experiencing sadness. You are not the sadness.
Yeah.
You are experiencing the sensation of sadness.
And that's such an important, like, just tweak in your words. You know, when people say I'm anxious, I'm depressed, just the change of words, I'm experiencing experiencing depression, I'm experiencing anxiety. It's so different. It's almost like you're watching it rather than being in it. Yes, and it's just those change of words is huge.
The observer. Oh, I'm observing there's a sensation there, and I've labeled it anxiety.
And then once we're observing it, we can then choose to go and experience it.
To feel it. To feel the sensation of it. Feel the sensation. How does anxiety feel? It used to show up for me. Racing heart. Oh God, the funny sensations in my throat. My stomach would go felt like it was all knotting up inside of my stomach.
Yeah, I love that.
And it relaxes. You're relaxing it, and it relaxes, and it relaxes, and it relaxes, and it relaxes, and you go, oh, no anxiety.
Oh, Tracy, I remember working with a client who had really bad anxiety, and thanks to you, I used, the sitting and feeling in it, and it was really interesting because we talked about, like where that anxiety is. Look at it as a dartboard, and the center is like the epicenter of that feeling.
Yeah.
And then you've got all the circles coming out round it. And we'd sit with it, and it would just be, like go as close as you feel safe to, and sit with it. And you would see it, you would physically see it in her body. She'd go towards it, and her body would go into that tense panic mode. Yeah. And then just being with her and just letting her know it's safe to be there. Like I can't even say within a couple of minutes. I don't think it was in a couple of minutes. You could just see her body relaxing.
Yeah.
And melting, and that, like you were saying, it dissolving away. And it's there like, right, if you're ready, take yourself that little bit closer. And she was just, when she came out of it, she was utterly amazed at how close that she could get to that epicenter, because when she went into it, it was just there like, I can't go anywhere near it. And this is the power of that work. It's thanks to doing the work with Tracy, that I'm able to pass it on, and look at the ripple effect that you're creating, Tracy.
Oh my gosh, when you can go to something that's been so strong in your body, and you actually can feel that energy dissipate, and it dissipates back out into the stillness, and you are now retraining your brain to respond rather than react and fight, and you're now responding to it. You go, oh, hello. Like you're saying, I'm experiencing a little anxiety. Okay, I just need to experience it. Which tools do I need? I need the feeling tools, not the thinking side of things right now. Thinking, you will never think your way out of anxiety.
No, you really won't.
Never.
You'll never think your way out of stuff. It's like you need the right tool. We call them the right tools for the job.
Yes, exactly.
Use the right tool for the job. Our mind's great when we're coming together and we're working something out and we want to plan something together. It's great, but it is not there for anything other than just use it as observation. What I've really become aware of now is that actually, you know what? My body's driving the car. My mind's just sat in the back seat watching, right? Witnessing.
Nice.
Life unfolding itself. And
that's so lovely.
Question about that. So, around that. So, how our unconscious mind is basically running the show. And I found out the other day, and you probably probably know this, but I'll share it with you because I was blown away by this. Your unconscious mind makes a decision 7 seconds before your conscious mind clicks in, and then your conscious mind thinks it's made the decision. How does this affect your unconscious mind and reprogramming it?
Because the body, remember, have you read the book The Body Keeps the Score? Right. Great so book. The body's keeping the score. So it's like how just through how I'm experiencing it now is like I have got so much more gap between. There's so much more space between a reaction now. Does that make sense? I can almost feel now something's brewing, so I can intervene with that brewing. Whereas before I was full out reacting before I even had any awareness. Whereas now there's a lot of space between. It takes a lot to trigger a reaction. So
the space between react and respond is
that's got like this, whereas it used to be like super react. When I first began this, you know, I'm 15 years, no, Tim and I have known each other 10. I'm 13 years down the track now of doing this. Right. And so I can see the comparison of like 13 years ago. My God, I felt like I was never ever going to stop reacting. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm triggered again. Oh, I'm triggered again. And it kept feeling like there were so many triggers, and we call them emotional splinters. So it's like now going in and extracting out each splinter leaves a bit more gap, right? But you have to go in and actually extract out the splinter.
Remove
the wound the wound can't heal all of these splinters inside of there. So it's like each time you get a reaction, you can go and sit and process it. That's another splinter, you know. And I'm not saying I don't ever react. Of course I still do. Yeah, now I can sit and go, oh, I'm reacting. Okay, let me sit with that.
It comes to the awareness again, right? So the reaction and the ability to respond increases, like you were just saying, and you just like and feeling it in the body. This is all because I do a lot of body work and release trauma that way.
Yeah, beautiful.
And we treat pain with pain, and it's this thing about not running away from pain, but also working around the edges. And what I'm seeing here is basically we're facilitating a space for people, for them to come into those areas of pain and fear in a way that allows their nervous system to feel okay. And then once they've experienced that once, they know they can gently go there, but it's not powering through. It's just gently touch the edges and work out where's good for you. And I think that's the beauty of this work.
Like your own pace.
Exactly.
Pace, you know? So remember I was saying to you about spontaneous awakening. Yeah, that would have been great. Thanks very much. But it's 13 years. It's 13 years in the making so far.
Can you imagine if you did though? Oh my goodness, your body, your whole nervous system would go into absolute shock, wouldn't it? You know, dealing with all that in one
fall. It's really interesting because I definitely would say mine's been a mixture actually, and I had a plant medicine experience that's like taken me forward in certain ways, but also a really long unraveling process over a good 10 years or so. But a dear friend of mine has literally done it within the last 2 years. So before 2 years ago, was not on this path. A situation happened and bang, straight in. And I'm just in awe of how someone does it quickly that way. I mean, wow.
But like you say, everyone's designed to do that, right?
Yeah.
Some people are designed to do that. Some people are designed not to do that.
And there's no wrong or right way. It just happens how it happens. And it's just...
and that's why we're also unique, and comparing yourself to go, why can't I do it that quickly? Why is mine such a slow journey? Because you know, through what you've just been sharing about how unique our energy is, and our makeup, and how we express ourselves, and how we deal with emotion, there's no way we can all go down the same path and have the same experience, because we're just so uniquely different.
Exactly. There's 3 of us here, right? We're all generative energy, because we all know that, right? So like Sam, you're a 6-2 profile, and Kirsty, you're a 1-3 profile, and I'm a 3-5 profile. So we're all experiencing life in a different way.
Yeah.
you know. And so it's like when you get to see that, and do you know the beautiful thing now, they're starting to bring out lots of kiddies program. And Ra always said, you know, the guy that actually channeled down human design, where he will tell you that this system was created for the future children, because as parents, like as a parent, I know my children's design, right? So they have they're generator energy, and I'm manifest and generator energy, so they don't move as fast as me. You know, I'm spinning plates and they look at me and think I'm crazy, you know. And so it's like, but as a mom, I'd be running off that manifest and generator energy, so I'd be wanting them to be responding so much faster than they were. And then I could get frustrated and angry with them for not moving fast enough. But now I understand they move at a much slower pace. I need to ask them yes, no questions. You know, yes, no questions, not here, this is what you're wearing today, you know, would you like to wear this or this, would you like this or this for dinner, so that they're learning to respond. You're teaching them to respond, you know. That's parents now have got a blueprint of who their child is, designed to be, so that they can be brought up in the correct manner. Sam, you would love that side of it, in the fact that it really, even down to eating, right? There's a specific way to eat for that design. And if it's not eating the correct way, then the brain's not functioning properly and it warps the perception.
Yeah, that's so cool. And what I really love about this work is, like, we're not just, we talk about like self-love, healing and all the rest of it, but this is for everyone, right? This is the ripple effect. And for the kids especially, like, we didn't have this because our parents didn't know. So we've all gone through whatever we've gone through and taken a really long route. But now there's an opportunity for anyone that does this work to really create an environment for their kids that enables them to not shut down their natural abilities and uniqueness, and to have them thrive. I think it's really beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if only, like, I've like sat and talked to my mom about, you know, my design, and she's like, oh, now I can see how, you know, was trying to get me to focus in on what do I want to do in life. You know, like, I was never going to discover that. Yeah, I used to beat myself up so much for not being able to do that. So it's beautiful to actually really get to see who's your child.
Oh, that's so lovely. Such a gift.
Just fascinating, isn't it? You know, because we're reading in Rise Tribe at the moment, we're reading 5 love languages. You know, so that's like one level. You know, there's just so many layers to all this, and it's you know, for people that are just sort of hearing this for the first time, it's start where you are, isn't it? And
start where you are, you know, and look, just be observant of what shows up in your life. You know, that what I'm sharing can sound complex, and it was complex in the beginning, but I didn't learn all of what I've got now in one foul swoop. Do I help people to break it down? Yes.
That's wonderful.
That's what I love to do, is look at their design and give them where to start. Here you go. This is where you want to start. And you stay there. You stay in that sphere. You know, you stay in that sphere until you really have gotten to know that sphere before you move on to anywhere else. Because otherwise there can be a case of wanting to intellectualize everything. And you'll never remember it. My gosh, I bring all my books out. I don't even try to remember, because, you know, there's too much to try and remember.
I mean, I've got so much from our meeting, and it's a hefty book, isn't it?
I've got several of them.
Looking through them, and just really get. And what I find with that book as well, it's just really trying to understand what they're saying. So I remember Tracy saying to me, you know, like, read it and just sit, you know, don't try and read the whole chunk, just read a couple of lines and just sit with that. So it really is a study, isn't it?
It's an activation book, right? So you've got to remember, it's activating. So, and this is what I've learned through reading it. I'd be like, God, what's that word mean? I'd have to go off and use my Google friendly, like, let me go, what does that word even mean? now I've noticed that it's stirred inside of me. It's like the more that I read the gift, the more that I'm remembering. It's like your sense
Yeah, nice.
You already know it. It's like we're already the city.
Yeah.
We're already the gift, and we're experiencing the shadow. So it's like it's already living there inside of us, but it's just remembering. And that's
and waking it up as well, and just and reactivating those things.
Yeah,
that's and giving yourself the time to do that, because the old perfectionist in me wanted everything immediately, and I wasn't going to share until I had it 100% right. And now I'm moving into a space where I'm just going to share as I go.
Yeah,
it's not all going to be like 100%, but let's just go with it. And what you were saying earlier, Tracy, about your nervousness and all the rest of it, and how we've all just rocked up today and we're like, oh, I've got no idea where this is going to go, but it's fine. It's just such a beautiful place to be in, and I really want people to know that if they are struggling with speaking or confidence or any of those things, just keep going and find your path, because it does eventually
it'll come,
shift and change.
It'll come. And it's taken, like I say, it's taken many years to retrain my nervous system to respond. And now I can sit here and tap into, for example, I am love, we are love. And to really genuinely feel that love inside, not just give it lip service.
Absolutely.
To really feel that, because I did not feel love. I did not feel love. I felt unworthiness. I felt guilt, like I was saying, guilt and shame, and did not value myself and didn't value who I am at all. And, that woo-woo side of me, I love my woo-woo. Whereas
we love your woo-woo
was like, oh my God, I'm a bit woo-woo, and apologizing for being me. Whereas now it's like, you know what, I am woo-woo and I love my woo-woo. Woo-woo has changed many lives.
Yes, hasn't it just?
Woo-woo has changed so many lives, and no longer afraid of that sensitivity.
That's lovely.
So it's beautiful. It's been amazing. Life is amazing. So
gosh, thanks for doing
it. That's a lovely, that might even be the title, Woo-woo changes lives. I really like that. That's super.
Woo-woo does change lives. Woo-woo changed my life.
Oh, mine too, honey. Mine too. Wow, amazing. So much from this,
ladies.
So we always finish off with some little questions. So we rise.
This is the only structure to our podcast.
This is it, and I've just only just remembered it as well.
Perfect. Okay, fire away the question.
So rise. Kirsty, do you want to go? You want to start today?
So what's the word?
Acronym. That's what I can find.
Thank you. So our acronym stands for rejuvenate, inspire, strengthen, and elevate. So we always ask our guests what each word means to them. So Tracy, what does rejuvenate mean to you?
Rejuvenate. Oh, for me, rejuvenate is all about energy, because I really feel like I've rejuvenated my energy. And I really feel that's what I do with other people, is help to rejuvenate their energy.
I feel rejuvenated from this chat. It's lovely.
Just now, even just from sitting, it's just the power of just sitting still after that, that peace and calm that I felt in my body. That brought that rejuvenation for me. So yes,
that's awesome. And so, what does the word inspire mean for you?
Inspire. Life inspires me. Life inspires me. It's just like every day is a new day. To feel the breath flow in and flow out of your body is so inspiring. You look around at a tree or a plant or a bird or a bee or anything, you just go, wow, life in itself is inspiring these days.
Just pause to see it.
Pause. Pause long enough to see.
Fabulous. So S stands for strengthen. What strengthen to you?
I would say strengthen is really about feeling. strengthen your ability to feel life. Strengthen that muscle inside of you. Strengthen your resilience, not your resistance.
Yeah. Strengthen the ability to feel. That's
resilient when you look at it.
Yeah, that's really
that muscle
great
inside of you, so you're strengthening that muscle every time. You know, retraining yourself to respond is strengthening your resilience in life.
That's stunning.
Strengthens your immune system too, massively.
Really does.
Yeah.
Amazing. And what does elevate mean to you?
Elevate means being here, speaking to you two beautiful ladies. Feel elevated.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Oh, Tracy, thank you. And always a really great conversation, and yeah, just learn so much from every time I speak to you, Tracy. Just learn so much from you. So just thank you for being you. Thank you for going on this journey so that you pass this on to other people.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. And you know, I love watching you both. It's like when I sit back and I observe, you know, people that I've shared time with.
Yeah.
And watching you in your life, that elevates me, you know,
That's beautiful.
that elevates so much joy to know that, and seeing you from where you were to where you are now, you know, is so beautiful. That in itself is elevating, you know. So thank you.
And that's not just words from Tracy, like you genuinely mean that from your heart, because that is the person that you are, the beautiful woman that you are. So thank you, Tracy.
Yeah, thank you so much, love. This has been such a beautiful conversation. I've loved every minute. Tracy, yeah, I'm honestly so chilled.
Got such a calming voice, Tracy. So I could listen to you all day.
Tracy, if people want to find you, where can they find you, my darling?
Okay, so come find me on Facebook. I have got my Facebook page. Is there anywhere we can put that? We could put that.
I'll put all the links. Yeah, absolutely.
Connect with me on Facebook. That's the best way. Or Instagram.
We'll put both of those links in for you when we do the show notes. So amazing. Oh, what an awesome video.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Tracy.
Right, thank you. And thank you to the audience for tuning in, you know, and I send you all masses of love on your journey. And, you know, just be curious with life.
Yeah.
And let it reveal itself to you, because it's magic.
Amazing. Thank you so much, my darling. Yeah, I think that's perfect.
Tracy, thank you for your time and your beautiful wisdom. And thank you to everybody that's listening in. And yeah, drop your comments below and
Sure.
let us know what you've taken away.
Some feedback. Share away.
Share away, guys. Thank you
so much. Any questions if anyone's got any questions when you post it up. You know, I'm quite happy to come in and share.
Amazing. We'll be posting this in our private group and on our socials. So yeah, just comment on there, and I'm sure people will be asking you some questions. That's amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. What an awesome episode, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.